Blue Beetle is a superhero film serving as the 14th installment in the DC Extended Universe. Starring Xolo Maridueña in the title role, it functions as a cookie-cutter superhero origin story that leaves little else to the imagination. After recently graduating from university, Jaime Reyes returns to his hometown in Palmera City. While awaiting a job opportunity at Cord Tower, Jaime is handed a small box by Jenny Cord, the niece of the company's CEO Victoria Cord. Jenny tells Jaime to guard the box with his life and ensure its contents don't fall into the wrong hands. Upon arriving back home, Jaime's family convince him to open the box, where they soon discover it contains a mysterious alien scarab. When Jaime touches the scarab, it fuses with his body, giving him a durable exoskeleton and superpowers that allow him to become the hero known as the Blue Beetle. Ever since the character's first appearance in 1939, the superhero Blue Beetle has undergone not one but three different canon iterations, the most recent of which is Jaime Reyes, whom upon debuting in 2006, has gone on to become arguably the most recognizable version of the character. From appearing on the TV series Smallville to being playable in various DC video games, it seems that the Reyes incarnation of Blue Beetle is the one that resonates most prominently with both modern comic book fans and novices alike. In 2023, the character made his live-action film debut in the DC Extended Universe's Blue Beetle, a cut-and-paste origin story adventure that feels all too familiar. There's hardly anything this film does that hasn't already been done in almost every superhero movie before it. From the very beginning, it's hard not to have a feeling of déjà vu when the setup is first introduced to us. We watch as a team of explorers uncover an otherworldly artifact in Antarctica, which is then immediately handed over to a big-shot CEO of a major company who plans to use it for sinister purposes. Afterwards, we see the protagonist inadvertently becoming involved with said artifact, and using it to fight back against the villainous CEO before it is too late. Does that sound familiar to anyone? If it does, then that's because the superhero genre has reached a point where it is near impossible for an origin story to follow any other set pattern. As a result, the film feels dated right out of the box. There simply isn't much entertainment value to be had other than perhaps through the occasional jokes about the lead character's ethnic origins. Maybe it's just superhero fatigue finally setting in, but I found nothing else worth mentioning about the film's plot. With that in mind, the film at least does a nice enough job at investing the audience in its overarching theme of familial bonding, something which is heavily emphasized in Latin American culture. Though they do feel a bit generic at times, I did like the parts where Jaime fights to protect those he cares about. The best scenes were when Jaime is learning about what powers he has, and noticing that his family members support him along the way. It is clear here that the Reyes family have each other's backs no matter what, which is especially evident given how often they are seen placed in the way of danger. Without giving away spoilers, I particularly liked one scene that made great use of the family dynamic when they are required to fight back against a large number of enemies. In most other films, the main character's family members are either relegated to the background, or end up used as a cheap plot device to move the story along. But here, they are all used quite nicely. Even Jaime's elderly grandmother has a highlight moment. In the lead role, Xolo Maridueña was the perfect choice to play the eponymous character, not merely due to his Latin heritage, but also because of the physicality involved. Anybody who watched Maridueña on Cobra Kai will likely remember his ability to handle himself in combat, dishing out blow after blow against his adversaries. It's just a shame that Jaime Reyes is so generically written in this movie, like somebody took Peter Parker/Spider-Man and gave him a Latin American paint job. That's not to say I disliked him as a whole. The problem is that I couldn't see anything in him that hasn't been done before in every other young, inexperienced, down-to-earth superhero protagonist since the genre first began. Still, there's room for growth should the character ever appear in a future DC film project. As previously mentioned, the Reyes family are what I would consider to be the emotional backbone for this film. Jaime's grandmother, known simply as Nana, certainly knew how to hold her own whenever things got tough, and Adriana Barraza's performance helped make her seem like she could definitely manage it. Nana was my favorite of Jaime's relatives because she seemed like someone with not only the necessary life experience, but also the toughness to go along with it. Coming a close second would be Jaime's sister Milagro, played by Belisa Escobedo. Milagro is the type of younger sibling most of us would dream of having, always there to back you up in a pinch and never giving up on you when things turn ugly. In spite of the rest of the film's issues, it's comforting to see a superhero film that places such a strong significance on family values. However, I think Susan Sarandon was wasted as the film's main antagonist Victoria Cord. Her character is so one-dimensional and uninteresting that virtually any other actor/actress could have played the role. Cord is nothing more than your run-of-the-mill greedy CEO villain. She's rich, she's powerful, and she wants to destroy the hero at all costs. That's about it. Though they do attempt to give her some sympathetic backstory, it is never properly expanded upon beyond the fact that her family life is the polar opposite to Jaime's. This could have been a great opportunity to have made her a more layered character, but But instead, the filmmakers played it too safe, and her end fate is about as predictable as they come. When taking into consideration the varied quality of the DC Extended Universe, I suppose you could do a whole lot worse than Blue Beetle. It serves its purpose as an obligatory introduction to the character for the uninitiated, and sets the stage for his potential return should the studio executives see fit. The film's saving grace is its wholesome view on the necessity of having a loving family, which itself is hardly an original concept. With all that said, I can only really recommend this film to hardcore fans of DC, because there are so many other better movies out there that are a more valuable use of one's time.